Cheers, Buzz.
Yes.
Thanks for joining for session number 4 of our virtual pub.
Jeez, it goes by quickly, you know.
I just thought about it. It's like almost 2 months now. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? We might start, and then the rest will catch up.
Yes.
Hopefully they can come on in, yeah.
Yes, we're recording. Yeah, we are recording. So greetings, everyone. Episode number 4. Way to go there, Shawn.
Hello.
Look, this is a rare sight of him coming down to Canberra. So thank you for coming down. It's excellent.
My pleasure.
Yes. So today we have a very interesting topic. But before, we'll talk about the news. And I'll start off with what's happening on today's TVs quite a lot, and that's Black Lives Matters. And without a moment of hesitation, we see hackers taking advantage of Black Lives Matters. And there's some quite funny ones. I read an article from a Swiss research company that they see a lot of phishing emails taking place, trying to get people to click on certain links and obviously get compromised. One was quite funny. I had a little picture from KFC saying, "Together we stand united with Black communication to listen and speak up against inequity, oppression, racism. That's why we're giving away $20 worth of meals with this coupon." So there's so there are a few of those happening, and KFC, to their credit, and I think one of them was Starbucks, yeah, also had something similar. Basically had to come out and say, look, it wasn't us who actually did it. There's also a very interesting site. It was a fake Black Lives Matter site, funny enough, was linked to Australia. And it had 700,000 Facebook followers. And in the website, it had the opportunity for you to donate money. And guess where the money went to?
The money.
So so it was repeatedly transferred to Australian accounts. So these are the things. I actually wrote an article about it, so I can put it in the link. People are interested to find out more about Black Lives Matters and scams. We've also seen huge spike of ransomware. No surprise, no surprise. What's interesting, CPA, which is the Certified Practicing Accountant in Canada, got exposed with 329,000 individuals. This is more of an hacking through a third party.
Yep.
We talk about a lot about third party risk and having access to assets. Now, why is that important? Because, as we know, accountants have a lot of clients, which means now I can do social engineering attacks, I can do phishing attacks, targeting their clients and so forth. So we can see a lot of that going to take place. The city of Knoxville in Tennessee in the US, their IT system got knocked down. No surprise, ransomware. Honda, the motor company, also got targeted, and some of the plants got shut down. This happened on the 8th of June, but typically the Japanese tend to be tight-lipped and not much information has come out, but there's been news about it. Interesting, talking about beverages.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have another sip.
Yep. What was an Australian company? The beer beverages?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The ones that own 4X.
Yeah.
They're called Leon, and they got it. And so that there's rumors flying about, this is quite interesting rumors, that Leon has actually agreed to be purchased by the Chinese. So they're thinking that maybe they got denial of attack because they're being bought out. So, you know, well-known brands like 4X is one of the owners. Interesting story. And last but not least, we've got a story that's just been recently published. CIA. What can you tell us about that, Shawn?
Well, it comes again to the old problem in the world, people. It happened in 2017, or I think 16. And it took them 1 year to discover it. So one of the most sensitive departments in the CIA that was designed to develop hacking tools to hack organizations and countries. Its own, well, they put a lot of investments in time to develop these tools, but they prioritize the development over securing themselves. So this department was not secured. People were not monitored. And apparently, an employee took to himself 34 terabytes of information, which includes a lot of very sensitive proprietary hacking tools, including 2.2 billion documents. It was discovered only a year after when it was transferred. Guess where? WikiLeaks. So they only discovered that when it was already outside. And the funny part that they said after a lot of investigations, they claimed that, well, monitoring was not required there because they're trusted. And they didn't think they need to monitor themselves because they are trusted people. And now imagine those tools that were designed to hack organizations, countries. They develop very unique capabilities such as activating cameras and microphones on other parties' tablets and mobile phones. So you can imagine how the CIA had to notify the other parties, even sometimes on the, how do you call it, the other enemies.
Yeah, the adversary.
Yeah, to let them know that happened, which put them obviously in a lot of embarrassment.
I from the sounds of it, and having read it myself, it sounded like very poor governance.
Well, they managed to publish very good stories almost every few months.
Yeah.
So it's great for the industry.
It's a topic that we're going to be talking about, which is basically governance, but around policies in terms of why can, you talk about the should and can. Why do we have a culture that can be negative? Why do we have an organization that does follow policies or don't follow policies?
Yep.
What causes those issues to happen? So that's going to be on a separate discussion, but it was quite evident there that they will do what they wanted to do. So basically they will talk the talk but won't walk the talk. That's in essence
correct.
Yeah. So now that we've got the news out of the way, we wanted to get stuck into the meat. Not because I'm that hungry, but the title of this topic is quite interesting and quite controversial, because what we're talking about is why organizations are being deceived when it comes to data leakage. So instead of jumping it into the water, what we're sort of doing is a little bit of a role play. And I actually know Shawn for some time. He's a person, and we're going to pretend now that he works for an important organization, and we actually meet in the evening hours at a pub like this one, and we're just talking about life. And when I see Shawn, he's quite direct. He's not a happy camper. So I know him, and I'll say questions like, what's wrong? Why? What's going on?
Well, you know me, kids, wife, family, mortgage. I have a lot of stuff in my head, but everything is fine. I'm struggling at work really hard. My manager, John?
Yeah, I know him.
We've worked for nearly 80 years.
Yeah.
Just left. And I got a new one. Someone external. I was hoping that I would be the manager of that department because I'm there. I'm the product manager and the product designer, and I'm one of the foundations of this company. I was hoping that I would be promoted. I will get promoted.
You mentioned that. You did.
And suddenly they brought someone from outside, doesn't know me, doesn't know the history, seems like he doesn't really appreciate everything that I did for the company. I raised that company. If not me and my initiatives, the product wasn't so successful as today.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty depressed.
Yeah.
He doesn't listen. And what I hate the most, he started to do micromanagement, which I hate. I was independent. Now I need to report for little things that I'm doing every day.
No.
Get me crazy, mate.
But so What? Hold on. So when did this happen?
About 6 months ago,
Yeah.
he stepped in.
Yeah.
It was a big announcement by the CEO. It started when my old boss left. So we did it. We gave him a great farewell. On that farewell, everybody was staring at me. They thought I'm going to be the new boss. Everybody liked me. I mean, I have a lot of friends. I collaborate really well with all the management people, and especially with the department of R&D, and marketing and sales. So I have very good relationship, very good friends, and I thought I'll be the next one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just dropped the bomb.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to talk to the CEO or someone?
No,
See what is actually
he's
going on?
pretty much ignoring me since then. Yeah, yeah. So it's really sucks. Yeah.
And what about the other colleagues? Do they feel the same as, or they're pretty pissed off? Or
Well,
what's happened?
we go to lunches almost every day. We talk, and look, they also express their surprise and disappointment. I mean, they hoped I'll be their boss. So because we have the same, we talk the same frequency, we talk the same language, we understand each other, we share the same plans over the year, meetings into the nights, weekends. We put a lot of from our soul, heart and soul, into that product, to the success. We invested our life into that product.
Yeah. So what options have you got? I mean,
Well,
where you're right now.
Well,
I mean,
it's been 6 months now that I really not satisfying from working there. So I'm literally every day that I'm walking there, he's watching me. The meetings, he's asking me about the performance. He doesn't really know about the history. It's like, from fourth Dan, I'm back into a white belt. So I need to prove myself. And the worst part is that I don't get any backwind from the CEO, because obviously he needs to support his new recruitment.
Yeah.
So
where does it leave you now?
To be honest, well, it's just between us.
Yeah. We're having a beer anyway. Oh, sorry, a glass of wine.
Yeah, well, nobody's watching us, and nobody listening to us. Look, I recently started to think of moving forward, and maybe leaving the company.
Really?
Yeah.
And is there much going on? I mean, have you checked what's happening?
I had a few interviews with a few good companies, some of them competitors. Obviously, I'm very attractive for them because I have a lot of experience, knowledge. I have contacts. I have good contacts with the industry. I know the product really well. Well, I'm the chief designer. And you know what? You know Smith from the R&D.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
So I talk with him, and we have a plan.
Yeah.
We have a plan.
So how do you see it working?
Well, if that goes,
Do you have a positive outcome? Can you see it working?
Well, look, I am actively working now to make a change in my life, and I think if I put my life in this organization and I created that product and it's so successful, and now someone else will get the recognition, I don't think I want to let this happen.
Oh.
So what I think is we already started to collect some codes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Smith from the R&D. Yeah. So
okay.
We in the last couple of months we are saving and backupping and taking some data outside, and also I'm preparing my leave. I don't want to hand over all my years of experience in investment to the company.
Yeah.
So we already doing some stuff.
Yeah.
I'm well prepared.
Is it easy to do it? Because I would have thought that would be that.
Are you joking?
Really?
I'm in the company 8 years. I was part of designing all the controls and all the. And I voted when they put all these ridiculous firewalls and all the access controls and identity management systems. It's funny. Yeah. I don't. it blocks all the external threats, but yeah, it doesn't do much to me.
Oh,
Doesn't any
okay.
effect.
And no one suspects you. I mean, no one actually knows how you're going. Maybe it's a few people, but
When the company started, we were like 10 people. I was one of them.
yeah,
Now we are almost 150. Few million. I think we're worth like 200 or 300 millions dollars.
yeah,
I'm one of the foundations. Well, why should they suspect? And also, I'm talking with some others, so we have a plan, and I don't think someone suspect us. And even if they suspect, they can't prove anything.
yeah. So it's not so much about money. It's just more about the way they've sort of looked after you, or the way that they haven't looked after you.
Mate, you know I have 4 houses I bought I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
4 properties and a yacht I
Yeah.
bought because of this company.
Yeah,
I'm getting paid quite well. It's not about the money. At some stage, it's not about the money. It's about the recognition. It's about my pride. I mean,
yeah.
you can't just let me go or minimize me now.
So, okay, so you could do that, but you could also just walk away. Why not just walk away?
I can walk away, but I don't think they deserve to stay with my IP. It's my
Yeah.
IP. It's not
Yeah.
theirs.
Yeah, yeah.
I created that.
Well, I know. You mentioned that you were working
I worked.
long hours.
The success of that product, it's because of me. So why should I just hand it over to them? It's mine.
Yeah. So, and have they talked about also dismissing you, or was it
Well,
in the last 6 months? Or
this guy, the new boss, I noticed that he's in and out in the last couple of weeks.
yeah,
Maybe it's something personal, but maybe he's interviewing others. And worse than that, I saw some jobs posted on LinkedIn. So I know they are actively looking for people now.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah.
specify the role,
yeah.
but the requirements similar to my experience. So
Okay.
well, we don't get along. So I suspect you want to get rid of
Yeah.
me.
So what's the worst case scenario? I mean, what, you probably get fired and then
Well, look, I'll get fired. I have money.
Yeah.
But it would piss me off.
could you see it being the other way around, where it could be a good scenario? Could it be, or is it gone past?
No, because yeah, it's either well, he must go, otherwise I will go. We can't stay together
Yeah.
there. It's impossible.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good. So that's the role play. So the question is, what's the real problem here? And this is the challenge that most organizations are facing today. When they look at risks, specifically around data, they look at the data. But when we're talking about being deceived, we're talking about understanding what the root problem. So what do you think it is there, Shawn? What are we talking about here?
Yeah. So here we presented a scenario where a disgruntled employee or dissatisfied employee talk to his friend and share his frustration. Now, this employee has the access to the most sensitive, well, he has access to the IP of the organization,
Yeah.
the product, which is the code. Without that code, without that product, the company does not exist. Now, not only that he has access, but he is also collaborating with others. So it's not only about him, but he's also communicating and working with others to achieve a goal.
Correct.
Now, initially, he doesn't want to ruin the company, but if he puts himself on the scale versus the company, he's more important. Now, he knows what are the vulnerable points or the vulnerable areas
Yes. Sure.
that can be exploited. He was sitting in these meetings where they voted about the identity management systems and the encryption systems and the protection systems and even the DLPs. Data leakage, well,
I have a wonderful word for it. It never walks out the door by itself.
well,
But I was going to say, here's the question. If data doesn't walk by itself, how can someone circumvent the organization's security system? Give me some examples.
it's so simple. And the more you think about it, the funnier it can get. When you talk about DLPs, data leakage prevention, You think of data that leaves the door and walks by itself, but it never happens. When you look at data, it's always a people provide or people determine the importance or the sensitivity of data. Data by itself is not important. It's important only when people have access and people need it. Now, how many times I said people in this sentence? It's all about people. Now, if data doesn't leave the organization by itself, someone is responsible, someone with access. Otherwise, if there is no access, there is no business. So when we filter all the external threats using all the other devices and just name them, we basically look at the trusted layer of people, the people that have access to the IP, to the most sensitive information, to the corporate data.
Sure.
They are exposed. So when they are exposed to data, they basically sit after all these controls.
For sure.
All these controls are meaningless for them at this stage. Okay? Now, I don't need to be a genius to steal data. You can put the most sensitive security systems and most sensitive and most expensive data leakage prevention systems, but I can go and simply use one of the most freaking and cheap anti-DLP systems in the world, my phone, and take pictures and maybe record. I can take notes and write to myself and put in my pocket. I can memorize.
Correct.
I can even buy, I think I found today, I think it's a $24 Google glasses.
Well, or something similar.
Or something similar.
Yes.
That can record. Nobody check my glasses.
Yeah.
I can buy any device on eBay that costs dollars, like a button. I can even bring my teddy bear sitting on my table as a gadget that can record and transmit my screen and transmit data. Even record board meetings and transmit it in real time where nobody notices. So data, what now? If you ask any CEO that experienced data theft or data leakage, if you triple the amount of systems that you had, would that still solve the problem?
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
And I like the metaphor, and you might want to tell to the guys here about the tennis player metaphor. That's a great little story.
Well, when I drove one day nearby a tennis court, a tennis ball flew outside, went outside the tennis court and hit my car. So on my way home, I thought about that, and it was funny because this is like a data leakage. A ball leaked from the tennis court. So if something like that happened, how the tennis court manager can solve it? So he popped the question, and a vendor comes in and say, look, I can solve it. Let's raise the fences. Let's double the size of the fence. So they spend few thousands of dollars, and they really raise the fence. And a couple of days after, someone hit the ball again. The same player. So the tennis court manager seek for another alternative. And another supplier comes with another bright idea. Let's build a Trump wall, a Trump wall that will surround the tennis court that will be 4 times higher than that fence. It cost them a few tens of thousands of dollars to build that wall. And again, after a couple of days, the same player hit the ball outside the court. This time, they have a very interesting proposal from another entity that offer them to plant very high eucalyptus and pine trees that are twice higher than that Trump wall. So they do that, and they spend a few hundreds of thousands of dollars. And again, a few days after, the ball goes outside. Now they turn to some techies companies, and that company tell them, look, invest a few millions. We have special drones. Those drones will intercept these balls, catch them, fire them, and will never let them go outside the tennis court. So they spend these few millions 2 days, again, what happened?
Ball goes out.
Ball goes out. The court manager doesn't know what to do. They spend so much money and they still can't prevent the ball from going out. So desperately, he posts that ad again. And this time, someone come and say, look, for $25 per hour for a week, I can solve the problem. How come? Bigger vendors and suppliers try to surround the tennis court with so many fences and walls and trees, and even I invested millions in drones, and I couldn't stop it. So you will stop it with $25 per hour for over a week? Tell me, what's your secret? He said, well, till now you try to deal with the balls. Obviously, they will keep flying outside. My idea is to train the player how to play. So this basically story tells that when you look at the problem of the tennis ball going outside the tennis court, where is the problem? If it's the ball problem, then you can keep building walls and fences.
Or change balls or change rackets and so forth. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, teach the person how to play, which basically brings down that issue that, so we've got data leakage that we're so concerned about. Let's get another technology. So the question is, why is the industry being duped by another technology? Whether it's a DLP or a SIM solution or, whatever data protection system. Why is the industry so keen and saying, okay, let's find another technology?
Well, first of all, it helps to solve a very big problem to the vendors. Cash flow. So each vendor will come to organization and we'll tell them, you know what, you feel sick? Here is a pill. Will not check you, not assess the problem, and just give you a Nurofen and say, well, that will solve you the problem. You will never trust that doctor. But what the industry does today is when they approach clients, when they approach organizations that suffer from a challenge from, let's say, data leakage, they give them a patch. They give them something to shut down the symptoms. They give them morphine so they don't feel the pain.
Yeah.
But then the pain comes again and again. Eventually, the person can die because the problem wasn't solved. If you shut down the pains, it doesn't mean that you solve the problem. I can tell it from experience. I had a toothache. I could easily solve it by brushing the tooth when I was young, but I prefer to chew chewing gums, right? Sugar-free chewing gums, because I thought it will neutralize the acid, right? I lost a tooth because of that. So if you don't hit and take care of the root cause problem,
and that's the fundamental.
Yeah.
So understand what the root cause.
Correct. And most of the organizations today are being deceived, maybe not on purpose. I think it's more of the less awareness or lack of knowledge of other vendors, other organizations that they try to sell their product, but they don't really solve the problem. They don't talk about the actual problem.
Yeah. Well, my series is as follows. We tend to morph towards technology because it's easy. So we buy a firewall because it sits there. Once it's properly configured, you don't have to look at it. So it's a 24/7. Technologies are easy to buy, and then you basically just tick. So you need compliance, tick. Have we got a SIM solution? Tick. Yes, we've got. Have we got a DLP solution? Tick. Do we have identity access management? Tick. The question is, we're not dealing with the root problem. And the root problem is lifting the carpets and seeing what's underneath. It's opening the cabinets and seeing what skeletons you've got.
When you step onto a road, you first look at the side, look at the direction of the risk, where cars coming from. Then you look at all the other directions. You will never step onto a road, look on the other side, and try to hear where the cars are coming or not. Instead, you will always look at the source of the risk. So when we talk about different systems that like DLPs and access control systems and identity management, those systems were designed first of all to block and filter the external threats, which is fine. When we talk about internals, data leakage or data theft, it's all about people that they have access. They have access to the data because it's part of their legitimate work. But if you remember from the previous episode, we talked about what people can do versus what people should do. Most of the insider threats or most of the insider risks, they will do what they can do. It's like the same what we did in the role play. As the product manager, I will do everything I can to protect myself and to ensure myself from whatever will happen in the future. Now, when you look at DLPs, the story about DLP or the story that the vendors sell is we can stop data leakage. But a DLP, it's like a shield that can block a bullet. What if we could actually deal with the finger that pulled the trigger? That's the whole problem, not the shield that can protect against the bullet. When the bullet leaves the gun, it's already late. So a DLP, from my perspective, was designed for protecting the organization or remediate against human errors, lack of training, lack of awareness, people or unintentional data mistreatment. But for those who want to steal information, the DLP is already, it's not relevant. You can have one DLP, you can have 10 DLPs. They will steal the information they can access to, and they can do that by various, ways and methods.
And we've seen plenty of examples.
They don't need to use their email to send information outside. They will not drag it to Dropbox. They will not do the obvious. Why DLPs or the traditional methodologies emphasize the obvious, and they solve the obvious. If I'm a sophisticated insider that knows the system very well and know how to manipulate it, I will collaborate with my colleagues. I will share trusted devices that can get this data. I can memorize, I can take a photo, I can use different camera glasses or different other gadgets I can buy everywhere. I don't need to use the obvious. That's the whole point. So if you ask any CEO, any risk officer, do you go sleep at night feeling safe that all your data is safe? I guess none of them will say, yeah, I'm 100% secure. So the question is, if you have a DLP and it doesn't solve the problem, it's like having a cleaner that leaves your house and the dirt stays inside. What's the point?
Yeah. Correct. And Craig mentioned in his earlier chat message about, organizations are looking for a silver bullet. That I totally agree. Look, most organizations don't want to be concerned with having to face people problems. It's much easier to face technology, and we talk about it a lot of time. When if the door to your car has a problem with a hinge or something, you'll just take it to get it fixed. But if you've got a human behavior challenge, where do you start? And then, in today's climate of fear and the way we perceive each other, the fact that you might say, have you got a problem with your behavior? That may deem you as being a racist. So, that makes it so much harder for organizations now to deal with people behavior. So we talked about that. One of the key concerns that when we look at insider risk, they tend to focus on saying, okay, my way of solving this problem is DLP. But we've also talked about that most organizations don't understand what is the root problem.
I think when they talk about DLP to solve the data leakage, it's like starting to build a building from the 5th level. Because when we talk about the leakage itself, when the data is already outside or on its way to outside and it was quarantined or caught by the DLP, it's an advanced phase of the problem.
Correct.
It's already in a process.
Correct.
So if you ask, I like to use that example of the babies that ask the mom, she said something and they ask why. So she explained and they ask, but why? And explaining, yeah, I understand, but why? We tend as people to we don't tend to explain the root cause immediately. We need to be peeled like an onion. We don't tend, in many cases, when we ask difficult questions, to answer the right answer, the definite answer. We try by layers, and those vendors that come to organizations and say, "What is your challenge?" and they say, "Data theft. We are afraid of data leakage." Okay, here is a DLP. This is a data leakage prevention. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, buy that term.
Correct.
It will catch the data, it will quarantine, it will classify, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but if the CEO or that person would ask that vendor, but how? How do you solve my problem? We capture the data, we see the flow, we see the files. Yeah, but what is the problem you're solving me? Oh, okay, so you will not lose your IP and it will not cause you financial losses, etc., etc., etc. Okay, but how do you solve what is the problem you're solving me? The data doesn't live by itself. It starts with people. How do you deal with the people? And then they raise hands. Now, people is up to here.
Correct.
We deal with data. So how do you deal the prevention? How do you prevent data leakage if you don't deal with the root cause? It's funny. And so nobody asked those questions. This is why we think the industry is deceived, because those DLPs vendors, they tell a story, not complete.
Yes.
They leave some empty chapters. And when you read and you get excited, oh, blank papers.
Correct.
Because, well, how do we keep solving the problem?
And Craig has raised a very interesting chat. Agree with you there, Craig. So in Australia, very much so, we have an organization that's very, you have roles. So you'll have your CISO role, and you have the CIO role, and the CFO. And when it comes to security matters, the CISOs tend to take everything. So they're in charge of physical security as well as information security. And we had chats with a few people about it in the previous one. And CISOs in particular, they're not trained in looking after people behavior. They're trained in information security. They're lucky if they are part, or they have someone that understands physical security and so forth. But that, Craig, I totally agree with you. That is a challenge here. In the US, you could set up a hub where it's specifically designed to look at people as a holistic from a lot of different departments within the organization. So you'll have HR, you'll have legal, you'll have IT, you'll have the cyber team, and you'll have a physical security, including HR, and maybe someone from one of their trusted business partners. And together, they will talk about how to properly protect the key assets from people's threats. And that is lacking here in Australia. It's very easy. Look, CISOs today are being bombarded. Cyber threats are way above their head.
Yeah.
You got compliance, and you got regulations, and you got the government breathing down your neck. And then now you have to worry about people. Well, how do I do that? And then the big question is, where do you start?
Yes, look, they are bombarded by many vendors and technology providers, and each one of these vendors and technology providers comes with a problem that only they can solve.
Correct.
Now, the question is, who should define those gaps? Who should define what's important for it's the organization. And if we need to analyze the organization, its assets, processes, and risks. So if we analyze, to the atom layer, what are the basic components of the risk? If we take the people outside, there is no risk. So how do we start to talk about people first and grow from there? So as I said, if we grow from people, and data leakage will be one of the top layers, one of the maybe third or fourth layer above. But we cannot start from there, because if we keep dig more deeply, there are more problems that we can solve, more gaps that can be. So DLPs will never solve a problem. It can solve a minor problem.
It's the same thing.
It's more a symptom than a problem, because data leakage or data theft or data IP that leaves the organization, it's always driven by something else. It's a different drive, and if we don't identify that drive with people,
Correct.
if we don't identify those indicators, if we don't find those, the best prevention is early detection. That's the best prevention. If you in everything in life, look, imagine that you have, touch wood, a cancer. Is it better to find it before or after it happens? So when I have the symptoms on my skin, I can have the best treatment. Okay, but it's better to treat it before I found all these marks on my skin. So the early detection is the real prevention. When you already need to deal with the consequences, it's already half dead, because if you don't stop the intentions, if you don't change people behavior and deter them from going bad, you can collect good toys, a lot of toys.
Correct. So early detection is extremely important. In the human psychology, you need to bring the deterrence part, which takes even one step backwards. So if you can shape their behavior so that they act in the best interest of the organization, so much better. If you've got a toxic environment, poor you. Interestingly, I know, talking about organizations, I remember asking one big organization here in Australia, and I said, look, how do you mitigate risk from insiders? And they would say, oh, we've got a log management. It's the same story. You can't infer user behavior and understanding from log management. In the same way, you can't infer DLP solutions or any other technology to understand what a human intention, the integrity.
You can do a bit, in all the spy movies and James Bond movies, they used to show that if you want to learn about someone, in every shitty American cops movie, you could always hear the chief. The chief says, "Look, go tell me everything they order, any pizza they order. Check their bin and the trash bin. So pull all the trash, all the garbage, and learn what are they doing or who are they." So of course, if you open my trash bin, you can learn what I like to eat or what I don't like. What I'd like to drink. Maybe you will find a document there. You can pick something from garbage, but is it really intelligence? I don't think so. It's just a few pieces. If you go to the main, how do you call this mountain of garbage?
The tip.
If you go to the tip or with the waste management center, you can definitely get a lot of good pieces of something. But does it tell a story? Does my trash bin tells a story? Well, maybe if you go to the yellow bin, you will see how much I like to drink or which drinks I like. But if you go to the red bin, it doesn't tell any story. You can pick some things, but it's like the SIM. A SIM came to solve a problem. Which problem? A lot of data. Okay, so any piece of equipment generate logs. Any piece of equipment was designed to generate logs. In most cases, debug logs, so it can help debuggers and program and developers to understand what happens to the device and if there are any problems, it can indicate problems. So since this is the only piece of information that a Windows Event Viewer or I don't know, a Cisco console produce, then and it was very hard to read and manage all these logs. So SIM products came and say, you know what, we have a very sophisticated trash truck. It can collect all this garbage. We'll put it into a nice dashboard system, and then you will go and collect whatever you want. It will be less smelly. Does it tell any story? So it tells a story about the systems, but it doesn't tell any story about people. If I will take a laptop that the event viewer is on there, and I will open an Excel spreadsheet and make a few changes, do a chat using WhatsApp, send a file using WhatsApp, open a Skype call and check my emails, and then close all the windows. I call everybody here. I challenge you, if you can tell me what I did in the last 5 minutes using the event viewer, we will send you a voucher of $100. It's a promise. None. It cannot tell the behavior or a story of people. It can tell the story of the machine. So if you want to know about people, you should look at people, not at machines. We will repeat it over and over.
So what is the takeaway for this discussion?
Whatever you paid, you paid. If you need to renew now your DLPs, maybe you need to consider again, what are you doing with this system? What are the problems they solve? Try to think of the problem and see if with the existing systems that you have, these systems can be bypassed. Try to think of people that you have in your organizations. Try to think if someone wanted to go bad, whether with malicious intent or accidentally. If someone wanted to take information, what are the methodologies? If you could take information, methodologies that put your systems not relevant.
Yeah.
If you answer yes, if you still have the fear of data leakage, even though you have 1, 2, 3, maybe 10 DLP systems, think again what's the problem you're solving and
correct
and what you're missing.
Yeah. Now I would look at it from an outcome base. So what do they really want? The problem obviously they might have, they can write it, they can define it, but what is the end outcome that they want to achieve? Where do they want to go? And just to say, okay, we're going to just put a technology there, won't get them to that technology, or won't get the outcome.
It's all about an organization invest a lot in managing risk and reduce the risk. When you put band-aids and patches, it doesn't solve the risk. It maybe push it a little bit, maybe sweep it under the carpet. You can say, well, I played with my little girls. I tell them, I'm not here. Can you see me? I'm not here. Well, that's the way organizations do with systems. They put systems in place and say, now we don't have a problem. So now we appreciate and respect CEOs and risk officers and CISOs and all these managers in that level. We respect them, but we understand that lack of knowledge and experience about people can lead to be a huge waste of money. So what we do, we help organization understand what is the human element, how to approach the human element, and we equip them with skills, knowledge, and lead their thoughts to plan a real risk mitigation and risk management plan that starts with people, and then it can grow. But we help the organization to save up a lot of money that they just throw to non-relevant solutions.
So it's not so much tossing what they currently have. You can still use it, but actually define how that relates to people risk. And then you can utilize what they currently have and then supplement either with behavior, culture, and a number of things that will help change their understanding of how they can act in the best interests of the organization, so that the risk in as such for an organization is diminished substantially.
Correct.
So these are the things that we do. We have more details. Once we post this video online, we'll have more details of how you can reach Shawn. Shawn is providing a free consultation, so use that. You can also download my book, which is protecting your business in 7 steps, just short. So that's free for the time being until that changes. Good stuff. Yeah, look, the other thing would love, if you've got a topic that you'd like us to talk about, let us know. I think we have, well, we weren't going to talk about policies next time, but we're going to do it.
We'll also talk about, I think, the role of HR.
Yes, role of
And
HR.
how the human resource is managed or not managed. Yeah.
So that's going to be the next one. With that, I bid you adieu, as the French would say. Yeah, thanks for joining us and look forward to seeing you next time.